first guest, the so-called security business is one of the worst run and most exploitative of all Irish industries. That's what I said, most exploitative. It pays employees badly and treats them worse, often attracting people unfit for normal work. Once in a blue moon, it accidentally employs someone exceptional, someone able and willing and eloquently able to put down and tell others what's going on beneath and behind the cop-like uniform. My first guest is one such exceptional man. His book, The Life and Times of a Gotcha. I'll explain the term gotcha in a few moments, but it actually lifts the lid on life as a Dublin security guard. He is author James Linan, and he joins us now for our Eason book review. Good morning to you, James.
Good morning, Daire. How are you?
The Life and Times of a Gotcha. What's a gotcha?
Well, as I explained in the book, a gotcha was Dublin slang for a security guard, basically, in particular areas of Dublin. They had different versions of it, like gotchi and gotcha, but gotcha was the one it was called the most. It was just a derogatory name for us, probably.
And are we looking at now, it's security people? We're not talking about, are we talking about traffic wardens now? Are we going that far? Are we going into clampers and things like that? Is that the broad umbrella of the type of industry you're talking about?
No, that wouldn't. It'd be static guard usually, people, the average ones that you see in supermarkets.
Talking after buildings and housing.
Or building sites and stuff like that. Right.
How did you get a job as a gotcha?
Well, what happened was I went to America and I was stuck for work, and the only thing I could get, it was either that or starve. The only thing I could get was as a security guard. So I was illegal, like a lot of us were at that time back in the 80s, and I basically bluffed my way into a job, and that's what started me in it. So when I came back here, I went and applied for something.
Yeah, and I would have thought being a security guard was a decent enough job, but you claim that it's not.
Well, I didn't write the blurb on the back and that said I lifted the lid on the security. It wasn't really my intention. My intention was merely to recount some of the funnier events. I mean, it wasn't all fruity and crazy, but there was a lot of it.
But there'll be people listening now and they're security guards and they take exception to the fact that you're saying, or it's said in your book, that it's not a decent job.
Well, I think most security guards...
You're denigrating maybe a couple of our listeners who are security guards who do a good job and are conscientious in what they do.
Well, it's down to what firm you're with. If they treat you well, then it's a good job.
It's true with any case, any business, isn't it?
I merely set out to tell a story and changed all the details and names and such. So I merely set out to tell a story.
All right. Tell us about your first night on the job, because there's a story there, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, I presume you mean the first night on the job here in Ireland, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, basically it was... I was with a guy that wasn't very sociable anyway, and a fairly vicious guard dog beside us, so I won't go into detail on that one, but it was unfriendly all round. Anyhow, I'll put it that way. I was wishing I was somewhere else. I was pretty miserable.
And you had to work with guard dogs as well. It must have been tough. How did you cope with German Shepherds or Dobermans or whatever?
Well, sometimes they did bite people, and I got bitten once or twice myself, but not very often.
But the guard dog bit the guard.
Yeah. Some of them, I don't think they knew which side they were on, Mind you, the way they were treated, I think they were kept confused anyway, the sort of treatment guard dogs got. Like, there was no particular regulation at that time, do you know what I mean? So, we're talking 80s and 90s, and God knows what you get in there. They're a bit stricter nowadays, you know what I mean?
How long did you spend working as a security guard?
Oh, I suppose, I don't know, all told maybe 7 or 8 years, between here and abroad and that. So, about that,
Well, in the book now, you go into detail about many different occurrences during your time as a security guard. Can you give me some examples of some of those?
One example was, there was this guy, he was always being caught asleep. So he took a notion that this time he wasn't going to be caught asleep, so he decided the only way to stay awake was to tie the guard dog onto his leg by the lead. So it was a good plan, really, I suppose, if it worked. And in a way it sort of did work, because the guard dog used to get all excited when any vehicle arrived outside, because he thought he was being collected to be brought into the kennels and fed. So he'd rush out to meet it, you see. So he rushed out to meet it, But he took your man with him off the seat and nearly knocked him unconscious. And the only reason he didn't get dragged down a flight of steps was because he got caught in the doorway going out.
Sort of thing happens, people.
Yeah.
He's blown the lid off the whole lot. Now, you say yourself in the book that you were, and I hope you don't mind me saying that, you were a bit of a lunatic in those days, working as a guard. But you even got arrested yourself. Tell me about that.
That's right. We were out in the beer before Christmas one year, and I took a notion to have a wee anyway, but a few of us took a notion to have a wee not too far from where the Dáil is. There's a sort of an open area.
Were you on duty at this stage?
No, I was off. We were out in the beer, as I said, for the night. It was the only chance we all got, and we knew we wouldn't get another one once the Christmas came there, because we'd be all working. So, I took a notion to have a wee anyway. But we were after going to a fair old pub crawl, and there's not really, I don't think there's still any public toilets around Dublin, but anyway, I took a notion to have a wee, and then when we were approached by a couple of rookie Gardaí and hand on shoulder and hold it, I kept on wee and all the rest of them had the willies in like a shot, and I always have a problem with authority anyway, but being drunk I'm dire, but I won't say I gave him a smart answer, but I was a bit indifferent perhaps. And then worst thing I did was I took a notion that I didn't want to get a criminal record because it can affect you in security work, and I gave him a false name and address. So then, stupidly again, I came clean and produced ID when they checked it out, and found myself hauled down to a station. I won't say what station now, but I wasn't best pleased anyway. I spent a good few hours in there, but...
Did it affect your employment?
No, actually, I don't think they put it on record, but it was, it certainly fairly frightened the life out of me, all right.
When did you first start writing down these events?
The book has been in the mix for a lot of years, maybe even as far back as 15 years ago. Maybe I might have started scribbling that particular story. It started off as a short story. Now, I've been writing since I was a teenager. Poetry, short stories, I've always been writing. This would be my second book. I actually published one book while I was a security guard.
Oh, never take an Irishman seriously unless he is armed.
That's right. That was
interesting. That's a very salient point altogether.
Yeah, well, that was out of print. That's out of print now, but that was published in New York back in 1988. So, sure. It was a mixture of poems and short stories and stuff, but I got the title from, shall we say, one of my drinking buddies who came out with it one night, and I said, that'd make a great title for a book, Paddy, and so there you are, I used it anyway.
Well, as well as some of the members of the writers group which you were affiliated to in Meath, you're involved in reading at local nursing homes. Tell me about this.
That's right. Myself and Paddy Smith and Michael Farry, they're members of the group. We do readings in the two local nursing homes, Knightsbridge and St Joseph's. So it's just something. It's actually Paddy Smith that got me into it. Yes. So he started. So I brought us into St Joseph's. So Paddy and myself do St Joseph. Michael joins us in Knightsbridge. So yeah, we do that. And I just mention, as well as that, Paddy's involved with the Swift Festival, and. Myself and...
This is Paddy who now?
Paddy Smith.
Paddy Smith.
Sorry, I beg your pardon, I'm confusing people.
No. Paddy Smith, that's a Trim Swift Festival.
Yes, that's right.
Starting this weekend.
And myself and... I do a bit of stand-up comedy. I was on TV a long time ago and doing stuff for Shogun O'Shea Show, right? And my comrade in arms, I have to mention him here, Niall Doyle, myself and himself are going to be competing in the stand-up row tonight. You did a thing on it in your show there.
That's right, the stand-up row. Is Rory Brumner part of that now?
He wouldn't be involved. No, we'd be low down the field. Now we'd be only amateurs at it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just a bit of crack, really.
Yeah. But getting back to the nursing home, did the clients ever sort of find those stories that you related factual with a hint of fiction? Did they ever find them shocking? Were they saying, "Come on now, James, that didn't really happen to you, did it?"
Some did, but funny enough, the nursing home people, and I was reluctant to read them, only that Paddy pushed me into it kind of, and Michael, I was kind of amazed. They all thought it was great. They couldn't get enough of it. Now, I didn't read that much of it, but I read a few chapters I thought were pretty racy, and all they thought they couldn't get enough of it. The amazing thing about the book is, I know it's not that long, it's only 130 pages or so, but the amazing thing about the book is it seems to appeal to all ages. I mean, I have friends people I know that young lads that only want to go out in the beer, and you know, it appeals to them, and ditto, it appeals to people in their 80s and 90s, so go figure.
Well, you've written poems and books, and you're a bit of an actor, and you've appeared on television, and you're also working on a new book at the moment, aren't you?
Well, yeah, that's not out yet, but it's in the mix. Probably I'd either be poems or short stories. I don't know which. I have a lot of them written already. It needs a lot of brushing up and organising and stuff, you know.
Okay. Well, listen, thanks very much indeed for calling in. James Linan from Ballivor in County Meath, by the way. How long did you spend as a security operator? How long were you in the business for?
Oh, I suppose, as I said, about 8 years or so, you know. Yeah. Around that, roughly. Yeah. On and off. I left it a few times and came back.
Well, it's called The Life and Times of a Gotcha, and Security Man, by James Linan, and it's out now. And it's our book review is brought to you by Eason. It's more than just a bookstore. Thank you very much indeed, James.
Thank you very much, Daire.
And good luck with the stand-up row. When is it on, by the way?
It's starting tonight, so it should be great.
And where will that be held?
That'll be held in the Priory pub in Trim.
And roughly, what are the rudiments? What are the rudimentary skills of a stand-up row maker? What do you have to do? Well,
basically the competition is right. You're given a subject. We'll say I love my mobile phone, and then you start off.
Oh yeah.
And
you give the pros and cons.
Yeah, you give the pros and cons. First, you argue for a minute for the motion, and then you argue against the motion. Do you know what I mean?
At the same, yes. Yeah. One person arguing for and against.
So you debate both sides of the thing. You know what I mean? One side of the time you say I hate it, and the next time, initially you say I love my mobile phone, and then you say I hate my mobile phone, and you make it up. And the idea is to be as entertaining and as funny as possible. Yeah,
it's a bit like the old politician joke. You know, politicians, when they're looking for election, they canvass in poetry and they govern in prose.
Yes.
Listen, we'll leave it there. Sorry, Jim, we're really passing over time. But if you want more about that book, it's over there in Eason in Ashburn, and it is our book of the week, the one that we're reviewing, and it is The Life and Times of a Gotcha by James Linan. We'll leave it there, James. Thank you very much indeed.